So this is an arithmetic sequence. What do we notice about this sequence? What's happening each time? We are adding 4 to find the next term. Okay? Your first formula that you're going to see is an equals a1 plus d times n minus 1. Okay? D is the distance between terms. An is the nth term, and we'll go over that in a little bit. I'll explain that a little bit more. A1 is the first term, and n is the number of terms. Let's talk a little bit about an, because this is the thing that confuses people, but it's not really that confusing. The first term would be called A1, so 3 would be A1, 7 would be A2, 11 would be A3, 15 would be A4. So the an, if the n has a number next to it, that tells you what term they want you to find. You understand? So if they want you to find A20, they want you to find the 20th term. And you could just keep adding 4 until you got to the 20th term, or you could use this formula. Now, if I ask you to find the 5th term, you can do that by looking at the series, right? Yeah. What would the 5th term be? 19. But if I ask you for the 205th term, you might have a little bit more trouble. And unless you just kept adding 4 and 4 and 4 and then kept up of how many 4s you had added, you would be... So let's say I want the 6th term, and I'm not going to do it the easy way. I'm going to use this formula. So if I found the 6th term, we would have A6 equals A1 plus D to the n minus 1. Well, in this series, do I know what A1 is? It's a 3, right? So A6 would be 3 plus, do I know what D is? 4. And what is n if I'm looking for the 6th term? It's 6. N is the same in both of those places. So this would be 6 minus 1. Okay? So we would do 3 plus 4. Don't add that 3 and 4. That 4 is attached to that parentheses. You do the multiplication first. Please excuse my dear and son. It's one of the biggest mistakes that's made. And this would be 20. Because 6 minus 1 is 5, and 5 times 4 is 20. So your answer would be 23. So the 6th term would be 23, which you know, because if I were to add to this, we know the next one is 19, and then 23 would be plus 4, right? So your question is almost right. You just have to remember to subtract 1 from n before you add it, because you're going to get the one after it if you don't do that, okay? You're going to get the wrong term. That's why this formula is what you need to use. So when we look at this formula, an equals a1 plus d times n minus 1, you have different things that you could be given or that you could be asked for, okay? And you have those 4 things. In order to solve that equation, you'll have to know 3 of the 4 in order to find what they're asking for, okay? So this one, they want the nth term. And they tell you a equals -5, a1 equals -5, d equals 4, and n equals 9, right? Well, what I like to do is put those where they go. So a1 is -5, d is 4, n is 9. Can I find an? Yeah, I just plug it all in, right? So A, and which term are they looking for? Which term do they want me to find? The ninth term. A9 equals negative 5 plus 4 times 9 minus 1, which is negative 5 plus 4 times 8, which is negative 5 plus 32, which is 27?
Yep.
What letters do you know about this problem? What do you know?
We know that A is negative 3.
A1 is negative 3, yes.
And D is 4.
D is 4. And we know one more of those things. What else do we know? So 97 is AN. Good. So we're going to plug in what we know. We have 97 equals negative 3 plus 4 times n minus 1, because we're looking for the n. And now this is a little harder because in the beginning we were looking for the guy alone on the equal sign, so you can just put it all in your calculator. But now we have to leave the n alone, okay? So we add the furthest thing away, we get rid of him first, so we add 3 to both sides. That's 100 equals 4 times n minus 1. And you have two choices here, and both of them are perfectly fine. You can divide both sides by 4, which is what I would do to make the numbers smaller, or you could FOIL in the 4, distribute in the 4, and you have 4n minus 4, and then let the math take you there. But I like to divide by 4. And now I have, these 4's bite the dust, 25 equals n minus 1, so 26 equals n. So at the nth term, it's the 26th term. 97 is the 26th term. So if you kept adding 4 to all those numbers, the 26th guy would be a 97. The next one says find the indicated term. So let's do number 10. So far we've done number 1, 5, and now we're going to do 10, okay? They want to find the 35th term for 17, 16 and 2/3, 16 and 1/3, ... So they want to find the 35th term. So you have AN, A1, D, and N. If we want the 35th term, what is N? Yes, N is 35 because we want the 35th term, and N is the same in both places on the formula. So we want the 35th term, so we want this guy right here, AN. What is A1? 17. And what is D?
1/3.
No.
Negative 1/3.
-1/3. We are adding a -1/3 each time. You always think of it. If it's going down, it's negative, okay? Well, let's just put it in the formula. A35 equals 17 plus -1/3 times 35 minus 1. So A35 equals 17 plus -1/3 times 34. And that would be A35 equals 17 minus 34/3. And you just do the math and find what A35 is. So A35 equals 17/3. And if you want to turn that into a mixed fraction, technically, it would be 5 2/3. Now in this one, the first term is missing, and you could pretend that -10 is the first term and find out, and you know that that would be the 14 would be the fifth term if -10 is the first term, and you could figure out what D is and then add it in. But I don't like doing it that way. I think that's a more complicated way, and you have a lot of room for error. So I like to call this scoop, and I like to think about this logically. These kind of questions are on the SAT and ACT, so just remember how to do this. So in order to get all the way to 14, I have to add D once to get there, add D another time to get there, add D another time to get there, and add D another time to get to 14, right? Mm-hmm. So how many D's did I add? How many scoops are there?
4.
Negative 10 plus 4D equals 14, right? Add 10 to both sides. 4D equals 24. D is 6. So what's negative 10 plus 6? Negative 10 plus 6. Negative 4 plus 6. 2 plus 6. 8. Plus 6 is 14. Well, if you add 6 to go forward, what do you have to do to go backwards? Minus. So this is going to be a negative 16. You see how that guy makes it easier now?